Keanna, what you were saying about Carnival, I think is interesting because you brought up the fact that when you hear like Afrobeats or stuff that's not, I guess, true to Caribbean heritage at Carnival, you kind of feel away or look kind of sideways at it. But I feel like Notting Hill Carnival has become a celebration of that Black British culture we've built. I don't know if I might be wrong in saying this, but I feel like it's kind of transformed from being a celebration of just Caribbean culture to being a celebration of Black Britishness. And like, what do you think as a Caribbean? What do you think about? Do you think there should be more, I guess, onus placed on celebrating the original Caribbean culture from which Carnival came, or do you think it's cool to incorporate other aspects of Black Britishness and celebrate it as a whole culture?
I'll jump in.
You're Caribbean as well, yeah. Oh, and you as well, Isaac. My bad.
But yeah, obviously I've been going Notting Hill Carnival since I was like 3 years old. Like I've only missed it 2 years since I was like 3, and both times I go to Reading Festival, which in hindsight was the worst decision.
You missed Carnival to go to Reading and Leeds.
No, because in my defense, yeah, the first year I was like,
white mates, you went with white mates, you must have.
So we doing I can't lie, I love that kind of music. I'm not even
like, let's rock up to this festival. So I was like, yeah, cool. Obviously, it, like, get back on the Monday. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll get back on the Monday, go Carney on the Monday. Both years I was just mash up. But you know what? You learn from experiences like these.
Yeah, you turn the L into a learning experience. I'm big on that.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it's just mad, innit? Because I've seen obviously the transformation from like when I would have gone in like early 2000s, like obviously like very, very Caribbean based, very Caribbean focused. A lot of like a combination of like you get a lot of like Caribbean families and their kids and their like young British kids. And it's sort of like where I learned a lot of, because I come from an area that's pretty much mainly white and Asian in Ealing. So like there's not that much Black culture around me. So that every year, obviously my mum's family are from South, so I spent a lot of time in South and I saw all that in Peckham and Brixton anyway. But like Carnival was like that one time of the year where I get to go see not even just like Grenadian culture, which is where I'm from, but see more about like Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, all the other islands. And like then as I got a bit older, I got into my teenage years, it started like you got a lot of Africans sort of like joining the carnival and becoming part of the carnival. But I always saw that as quite a natural transition, because for me it was like, yeah, these men are kind of the same as us anyway, in terms of like, yeah, obviously there's different traditions and culture, but as you said, in terms of like in Britain, we all kind of listen like as
it's a similar lived experience over here.
Yeah, like as a descendants of African parents or grandparents in Caribbean living in Britain, you all kind of listen to the same music, you eat a lot of the same foods, like you have the same experiences. So that seemed quite like a natural transition for me. But then what I've seen in like recent years, like maybe the last like 4 years or so, is now it's become a place where you get a lot of like middle class white kids going to Carnival.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm not really here to try and be a gatekeeper to Carnival, yeah. But what really, 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 really vexes me, yeah, is these kids come, they want to go there on the streets, like doing balloons, doing pingers and all these other, and it's like, that has never, ever been.
We need better border control. Be a gatekeeper, bro.
Close the damn border.
In the words of Dr. Umar Johnson, this is an Africans only live stream, bro.
This is an African people's only live stream.
The way I see it, sometimes I feel like we're too quick to try and invite everyone to the cookout because we know it's lit. So it's understandable that people want to come, do you get? And I understand all of that, but for me, I think history will tell you, inviting certain people to the cookout, and I'm not going to put any names on it because I'm not trying to get cancelled, is it? But history will suggest that inviting certain demographics to the cookout doesn't end well for the organizers of the cookout. So they can, so for me, I'm like, certain cultures can know a cookout is happening. Other, like, so they can see the flyer, the invite, everything, but they can't come. Even some of them, they can bring food and stuff and just hang around at the start, but you have to leave once it gets popping. Other cultures, other demographics, they can't even know that a cookout's going on. And to be honest, like, I think, I wouldn't say so much that sort of middle-class white people, I wouldn't say, because a lot of the time when I'm there, maybe it's because I don't really notice them when I'm there, because usually I'm a bit, do you know what I mean, at Carnival. But I'm saying I see them as like spectating, almost like they're staying inside and looking and watching. And
it used to be like that, yeah. But what you get now is there's like certain like stages and like mini little block parties and that where they're playing like drum and bass music and that.
Oh yeah,
And I'm just like, not like, no, like that is, it's never been that. Like that is so far removed from the original like concept and culture of Notting Hill Carnival. And then like, as I said, like I went to living in like a very like white area and went to like quite a white school. Obviously these people like, oh yeah, like I'm going carny, like
oh my god, when I tell you,
No, but
if you're gonna go, yeah, like immerse yourself in the culture, innit?
yeah, don't try and.
To be fair, I'll say one thing on it though, because like to be fair, I haven't attended Carnival every year, but I have gone on and off from a very young age. And I think it's changed a lot over the years. Like when I was initially going, at least like the reason that my family stopped going as a group was that it changed from a lot of steel pans and live music to a lot of like more like speaker systems, like sound systems.
Yeah.
And then even then, like, so back in the day there were people saying, oh, why are they doing this? Like, this is not what Carnival is meant to be about, right? But like that's the way the culture was moving, if you wanna say it like that, right? And then I think it has kind of, as if you want to say Black British culture has progressed over time, Carnival has kind of progressed with it as well. Like you've sort of seen more like the Afrobeat style music come in. You see more like grime come into it, and now you're seeing dubstep and stuff come in. But Black people these days are listening to dubstep and like drum and bass and stuff. So I don't know if we can say like that. That is not.
It's not
Carnival, because if we're saying it's Black culture, then Carnival is a representation of Black culture. There's a lot of people these days that are part of Black culture who do go to drum and bass raves. Like it's not specifically a white thing anymore.
I hear that. I think the issue, I actually completely agree. That's actually a valid point, because I also don't like the rhetoric that Black people can't listen to certain music.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that we're naturally put in a box. I hate it. But I think the issue is we're taking up space, and that's something that white people, I'll say with my chest, that's something that white people do, and they do it a lot. They go to spaces that are for oppressed. The reason why things like Carnival exist is because Black people wanted to have community. You know, they wanted to see their culture. You know, our culture was basically taken away from us, right? And we want to see it in this new place that we're in. You know, respect to Caribbean people for putting that space there for Black people. So for white people, for you to come in, like Curtis said, like I went to school in Kent, so I also went to school with middle-class white people. And when I tell you that they make it like a thing, like Carney weekend, and it's just, for me, honestly, even as an African, I feel like I'm taking up space at Carnival. I'm not gonna lie to you. I go there to appreciate Caribbean culture. I don't go there expecting to listen to Afrobeats.
Love
so,
you, Seyi,
nah, come on, like it's true. Like I go there for that sort of thing. So for you to come into this space, not only, you're not even African, you're not Black at all, and you're sort of creating your own space in a space, I think it's slightly overstepping boundaries. I won't lie to you, but I'm not even in a place to say that, you know, because Carnival doesn't belong to Africans. It's just from an outsider looking in, if that makes sense.
See, I would agree.
I think
I would agree, but like, are we saying that change is because of white people or because of Black people? Like, are we saying that the change in the sound is because of the influence of the white? It's a difficult one, because a part of Black Britishness, I would say, is the fact that we have become attuned to some parts of British culture as well, which is like now how things like dubstep and garage and like a lot of these things have interblended. And like, I wouldn't say that like drum and bass is like not like it's not relevant to Black people anymore. Like it is part of Black culture now. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, we can say they're taking up space if they're coming and like they're making it into a big thing, which is not what it was. But like, I don't feel like they're the ones driving the way that the event takes. Like, I don't think they're the ones driving the change in the music sound, which is why I'm fine with it. because I also feel like the Afrobeat started to come in. If you think about it, you can kind of map like the transition of black culture. I mean, it's a jump, like might be jumping out there a bit, but you can kind of map the transition of like black people in the UK through Carnival a bit. Like the Caribbeans generally migrated first, right? And then a lot of people from West Africa came in, right? And you can sort of see that soundscape changing across the years through Carnival. Then a lot of people had children in this country who are now like
British.
I don't know, diaspora squared, right? Like they're born in the UK and they have like a lot of interests and feelings which are like very British based, which is then like you see more of that sort of element of drum and bass and etc. coming. I don't know. I feel like we can definitely say that we don't want them to take up space there, but I don't feel like the sound or the changes in whatever Carnival is being driven by them, so to speak.
I don't even think that the taking up space is an issue with sound. I think it's an issue with presence.
Yeah, I think.
I don't think it's sound at all.
I'm saying that's a different thing. That like I'm fine to discuss that point. I was just saying that like I don't think the change in sound is because of
Yeah, no,
I think that's just one example, and it's not.
I think
it's like them being there, and I guess not. I don't know about how to phrase it. Like the word in my head is like giving some sort of reverence to the Caribbean culture that it originally came from, but I don't know how you would do that anyway. Like how does a white person show reverence?
But I don't even think. No, but I don't even think it's just a white people thing. I think it's everybody who is not Caribbean will enter the space and not show adequate reverence. It feels like, you know, ACS when the C is silent. And my problem is that a lot of people think they know Caribbean culture and understand Caribbean culture because they listen to Bashment, which most Caribbean people don't even refer to the musical genre as such. And I think obviously, let's make some clear disclaimers because I don't have anybody's time today. The disclaimer being that I love Afrobeats, do you get? You will see me shaku on the beat as well. I'm here for it. And also I'm Jamaican, so this is another level that I don't even expect to hear dancehall at Carnival, and I'm Jamaican. Do you understand? So I think for me this is the problem where people are making Notting Hill Carnival a Black British thing when it was never that technically. The only reason it would be considered Black British is because obviously Caribbean people, the history of the fact that when you were in the Caribbean, even under British rule, you were also considered British. So the notion of Black Britishness is so complex in the Caribbean community in and of itself that, you know, there are layers to this. And most people don't even know why Carnival started. People don't know that Carnival was political. People don't know that Carnival in and of itself, back in the day historically, was when the slaves were free and shacking up themselves and mocking their masters. Like, people don't know these things, and they come to Carnival dressed in their batty riders and crop top with a big flag that is not from any Caribbean island.
Can I just say I was St. Lucia last year. Every year I have a new identity. I was with I had my whistle. I had my whistle, my little flag. But sorry, carry on.
No, do you know what I think it is for me as well? It's like these people, and they will know who they are, will come to Carnival, shack up themselves, and then drag the Caribbean on Twitter and make some very wayward statements about Caribbean culture, that all we are is just freaky people that ain't got no fathers and ain't doing no stuff. And it's like, are you moving mad? Are you actually mad in your head? And you come to this space, and I think that's my thing, is like, what are we defining Notting Hill Carnival as? Because if it is Black British culture, like, it is what it is. Like, but my thing is actually pay homage to its historical roots and respect the community outside of your weekend. And also take time, like, you're coming on a TL. Yeah, people don't even listen to soca, and then you come on a TL and say, oh my gosh, Carnival was rubbish, and all I'm hearing is this jump up music. I said, are you mad? Do you not know that's what you're supposed to be hearing? And like, I have an older sister who grew up on garage, right? So that will hit up the garage stages and stuff, and sometimes we'll roll through. But I think for me, and I think the reason why a lot of people in the Caribbean community are getting very irked with this situation is because on one hand, you have people moving into Notting Hill who are from a particular demographic group who've been knowing Carnival exists and are lobbying the council to reduce like the
that's
route,
ridiculous.
basically.
That's ridiculous.
So that's mad, number one. And then they're getting paid to go to Brighton. So the Carnival people that are making Carnival and putting money behind this, and I have to take out of their pot to pay you, who nobody told you to move your ass down there.
Wait, they're getting, wait, say that again? They're getting paid.
Or like
Yeah,
they're getting like, they get a coach. They get like, basically like, if you don't want to be here on that day, here's an option for you.
If you don't want to be here on that day, move somewhere else.
Do you understand? And I think when I go to Carnival and I hear grime and I hear Afrobeats and I hear drill, because it's not just an Afrobeats thing, right? It's non-Caribbean music. Even when I hear bashment or dancehall, like even for me, I'm like, right, like the sound is shifting and changing, but I'm not gonna come on the TL to move I think Twitter is the problem. I've come to the conclusion Twitter is the problem.
I can write a book on this.
And the thing is, because people
don't get me started on Twitter.
Keanna, I've got a question.
Roll through.
Would you say that the two things? Would you say firstly that the shifting of, like, we can all agree that Carnival has kind of shifted from a celebration of only Caribbean culture to Black British culture? Would you say that that is a bad thing? And would you say that it's, I guess, leading to an erasure of Caribbean culture? And if you think it's leading to an erasure of the Caribbean culture, what can we as people that go to Carnival, etc., do to sort of pay more homage to Caribbean culture?
Sorry.
That's a really good question. If it was the case that Carnival shifted within and essentially consenting to that, I think most people wouldn't have an issue. But you can see when you go to Carnival, you can actually feel the tension. When you go through the floats, you can feel the shift. You can see the faces, the people. You can tell that there was no harmony and that this is happening whether you like it or not. And also, like what was said before about different, you're now being born. You're born in the UK, etc., etc. So the people running Carnival also come with their mix and blend now. So I don't really have a problem with the sound and ignorance behind who is not from heritage when a school meet. That's when it's an error 404. And it's like, I do feel like there is starting to be, I don't necessarily know if Caribbean culture is being erased, but what I feel like it's is torn apart, and people are picking and choosing what they want without ever consulting the community itself. So it's like people are doing Caribbean, like, let me not bring this, for example, particularly in the UK, I think because the UK, as much as I love our blended culture, I do feel like because we don't take time out to get to know one another's cultures, and we assume because a lot of slang in London is rooted in patois and this, that, and the third, people understand. And then I think that's where the issue comes. Even an individual, I won't say his name, said that his woman is more Jamaican than him, or more Jamaican because she's gone to Jamaica, and his woman is. And I said, do you see?
Wait, say that again. His woman is what?
Do you
Let's say
understand?
the name. It was Harry Panera, isn't it?
The thing is, me, I'm not saying the name because I'm not shook. I'm not saying the name.
Isn't she white?
Yeah, she's white.
She is.
He was doing it in defense of, like, you know, when people come for anyone that, like, interracial couples and stuff. So he was doing it in defense of her, but then he kind of
Who comes for interracial couples?
I see it.
Who come for interracial couples?
I see it sometimes, but
yeah.
I keep my mouth shut. It's not my business.
Some people do, but that is not a good.
Well, he jumped out the window. He said, "Oh, she loves me and everything," and it was nice. We love it. And then he started jumping out the window, saying like, "Oh, she's more black than me, man. She's been to."
Yeah.
I said,
Does that mean because I've been to Dubai?
Please,
that now I've been to Dubai multiple times. Is it me that will now say,
"Oh, reel it in. You've gone too far, bro."
Do you know what it is? I think that, like, I feel similar to what I said before. I feel like people just need to pay respect. I feel like, again, don't go to Carnival. And this is what I did the first time because it was my first ever Carnival. And I was like, sis, relax. Like, do you know where you are? I went to Carnival and I was like, where's the Nigerian float? Literally. Where's the Afrobeats?
They have one now. They have one.
Like, yeah, no, they do. But it's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I hear Afrobeats all the time. Like, I'm here because I want to sort of not immerse myself, because I think that sounds very vulture-y, but I want to sort of appreciate this culture. Like I'm not going to go to Carnival and be like, where's the J Rice, where's the John Rice? I'm going to go to Carnival and be like, you know, and I feel like that's something that, again, I'm not going to say white people, but like a certain demographic tends to do, and I'm not gonna lie, I think Africans do it as well, I can't lie to you. There was I went to a very white uni, so the ACS presence there was very strong, because there weren't that many of us Black people. And there was this huge sort of discussion about why the C is silent in ACS, similar to what Keanna said. And that ended up in there being like a Caribbean society in itself. And then people were saying things like, oh, you know, like you're being divisive, and like, you know, you're sort of like dividing cultures. Why is there a whole Caribbean society? But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like I see it. I feel like it's a kind of thing where, yes, we're all Black, but sometimes it is necessary to close the borders. Even as an African that, you know, appreciates Caribbean culture, sometimes close the borders, like, because when you don't sort of set those sort of boundaries, then people take the piss. For those sort of things.
Well, I set up a Caribbean society at my uni. I set up whilst I was on ACS. Yes, I did. And no, my one is going great, because it wasn't a beef thing. There was a Nigerian society, there's a Ghanaian society, there's a Somali society, there's an East African society. So where is the Caribbean society? And I think the Caribbean community has been in the UK for such a long time, and people just don't know. Like, for example, people think that all Jamaica is Rastas smoking weed and taking back shot, and it's like, this is actually how you have reduced
Did you just say what I think you just said?
Entire yes
did you just say what I think
you
she just said?
you
did it. Reload
it. It's true that you go to TL and this,
which is by an African. So the point is like, you take a country who, in my opinion, Jamaica's done more, like, in terms of the size of the country and impact on global culture, global Black culture, it's done more than any other country out there. So you take a country that's done a lot for us, that's why I've got like so much respect for Jamaicans in it, because it's like, you take a country that's done so much for me personally, and you reduce it to this caricature that, like, when people, I'm a massive Bob Marley fan, like, he's one of my favorite artists of all time, top 3 for me, and it's like, people ignore all the political stuff on his songs, which was hugely political, and just talk about the smoking reefer and everything. It's like, bro, like, are you listening when you're doing it? And then I see that as they're doing it on purpose to kind of, and I that's why I really don't like when I see other Black people, like other Africans, sort of feed into that, because it's like, white people did that to Bob Marley and turned him into this character of himself on purpose, so that people would forget the political message that he had in his music. And we're feeding into it by putting out a sketch in Family I'm talking about Jamaicans do this and that, when you're not. And then, like,
can you send that? I actually want to have a look.
Yeah, I'll send it in the group chat.
Because people don't realize how conservative Jamaica actually is, and how there was even a Supreme Court ruling banning dreadlocks. So it's like, actually in school, sorry, I should add the in school. I think people don't know, and I think for me, I've made it like, in my friendship group, there are like, in my friendship group, I have more African friends than I do Caribbean friends when I do the maths, right? And even though I've lived in Ghana and I'm born here and whatnot, I take my time out to still understand. I want to learn. Let me hear Wagwan. Here's all the stereotypes, but let me hear this. And I know that some of my friends, they're cool people. It doesn't mean now that if I ever as me too, I'm a Nigerian, because I know the context. But the way it works in the UK, I feel like with the Caribbean community in particular, is because there are so many things intertwined and ingrained in our norm, that we don't remember the people that it comes from, and we simplify our culture, the Caribbean culture, down to these very minute things. And you hear people say reckless stuff. Like, I remember someone saying that, oh, I feel like you Caribbean people are XYZ because all you do is jump up in the street and dance with no clothes on. And I'm like, do you see yourself right now? You don't even know Wagwan. You don't even know the taking time out to learn and understand. And that's why, like, I wouldn't have a problem with hearing different sounds at Carnival if the people actually respected the culture outside of Carnival, and if people took the time out to learn about the culture outside of Carnival. And deep, like, I as a Jamaican, I love my island, but I've had to learn about other islands in the Caribbean, because we even have beef, you know, like small island, this, like we in the Caribbean have beef. And I go to Carnival and have to humble myself and listen to soca, and I enjoy soca. So how much more so someone who's not even Caribbean come in, and then you're gonna go, guys, as I said, it's the TL and it's ACS culture combined, where it's like, I don't know, it's just not a nice thing to see us pick and choose what we want. And I think it could be so much more beautiful and edifying if we took a step back to learn from each other and recognize.
I agree. I think it's a general thing of humility in general. Like, I think it's the same issue we have with African Americans when we had the long discussion about Wakandification before, and so I don't really want to get back into it because we did it on an episode earlier. But it's like taking African culture, and when they say African culture, like, Africa's a big place. There's all sorts of different cultures there, but for them, it's like they take one image of it and try and push that and stuff. And it's like there needs to be a level of humility for everybody. Just because you're black doesn't mean you understand Caribbean or Jamaica or whichever Caribbean island we're discussing. Like, just because you're black and British doesn't mean you understand that culture, because you're not from there. So you also need to humble yourself. And
I agree. I was even going to say, like, I feel there's this arrogance on two parts. First of all, there's a huge arrogance that comes with being African American, but because obviously America literally sets and defines culture for the whole world, because they are the world stage. And so being black in America will set a sort of definition, a standard of what it is to be black, and that's why they're extremely, not the whole, just generally speaking, quite arrogant about it, unconsciously even sometimes. But I also think there's an arrogance that comes with being African, and I'll say that with my chest. There's an arrogance that comes with being African, comes with being Nigerian, where we don't, if you're not within the African space, we don't care to learn about it, because we're told everything comes from Africa, you know, like, you know, that sort of arrogance that comes with being told that the world originates in Africa, we're more populous with this, with that. It's doing us no justice, I'm not gonna lie, because for example, Nigerians are probably, I will say this with my chest, we're probably one of the most arrogant bunches in the world, but we don't have anything to show for it apart from good music and food and culture. The country's a mess, and I feel like, did I lie?
I didn't say it.
I said it in my chest, and as a Nigerian, I'll say it again. We do not have anything to show for that arrogance apart from food, music, culture, and the people.
But our
country doesn't back it.
That's a big thing.
No. The arrogance that Nigeria has compared to the state that Nigeria is in, it doesn't align.
Yeah. No,
and I feel like there needs to be a lot of stepping back from the African side and shutting the hell up and actually listening.
I think it's if they're not prepared to listen and stuff.
That's the thing. When I see diaspora wars on Twitter, I'm not going to lie to you, I do see it heavily coming from the African side, and it's embarrassing to see. I can't lie. It's embarrassing.
It is,
there needs to be a lot of listening, a lot of discussions had, a lot of, you know, because you never know what you could get when you actually like shut up and listen to people, you know, that kind of thing.
And I think just that willingness to learn and that willingness to be informed, to actually be like, no, what you think it is not what it is, like, this is what it truly is. And about like the history behind certain things, like even when we talk about Carnival and how it is political, even Andy, you mentioned like Bob Marley being your favorite artist, top 3. I want to know who the other 2 is, by the way. But like a lot of people don't know, like the song War is verbatim Haile Selassie's speech to the UN, like verbatim. It is not a song that he sat down writing, like, do you get what I mean? So when we're talking about the history, or when we're talking about it being political, like that's where it begins. And it's like people take an aspect of the culture and then they blow that up to be the entire culture, and they forget about, you know, the building blocks, they forget about the history. And it's just like, you just want it to be what you think it is, or what you assume it to be, and you're not really taking time. And there's a lot to learn.
I think it's terrible, because I think basically one of my party tricks is I can find a way to blame white supremacy for everything, and I feel like
I agree. No, I'm about to agree with you.
Honestly, I'm like, the example I brought up with Bob Marley, they do it with all forms of black art, which is inherently political, because black existence is political, and I'm saying they take grime and say, oh, it's just you guys rapping about this, that, blah blah blah, but they've been rapping like in the magazine, we put out a magazine about Black British music last year, and we have an article about the political kind of origins or roots of grime, because to try and say that this form of black art is just, you know, young Asbo kids doing this and that, blah, 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 is something that they're intentionally doing. And I'd like, it kind of hurts me when I see us feed into that, because it's like, this is what they want. They want us to think of our culture as just this, that, and I shouldn't even say art, because Caribbean culture is not my culture, but when I say art,
It's
I mean,
alright. Today we can all be out of many. We can't
you know
really
what I
be
mean?
one.
Like, it hurts me when I see Africans sort of feed into that narrative that Jamaicans are just about this, that, blah, blah, blah. And the same with other, which is why I kind of took so much offense at sort of the African Americans saying Africans are just this, that, and not taking a full appreciation of what the culture is, because that's exactly what they want us to do.
I think one thing that the ruling sort of like white supremacists / the ruling classes are really damn good at doing, and they do it very subtly. It works all the time. They're really good at creating like narratives, forcing those narratives down through media, through curriculums, through entertainment, through
100%.
just general societal norms, and then putting these sort of narratives about these oppressed groups and then getting them to turn on each other. And it works every time. It works every single time. It works with, for example, Brexit. Working class people had no business voting for Brexit, but look at how that you know, that sort of thing. And these stereotypes, again, are very white supremacy, you know, fed by white supremacy. And like Andy said, it's we fall for it every single time. And I think the solution is literally just to listen and to have these sort of discussions, because honestly, like we have a generation to build, and it can't keep going on like this. Like these diaspora wars, it doesn't make sense anymore.
It doesn't. They strip you of your identity, and then give you one label, and then are confused why everybody is fighting inside, because you're deep in that. For example, most people, when it comes to the Caribbean, all they know is Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados, which is problematic, because you know Barbados because of Rihanna, and you know Trinidad because of Nicki Minaj, and then you know Jamaica because of all the different things that have come out of Jamaica. And it's like, there are so many other islands. There are so many other forms of music. There is so much to learn. The food, even though what I've learned in this life, is that in most Black countries, we be eating the same thing, but we got a new name, like a new season, like a remix. Maybe some people smash it, some people, whatever you do. Yeah, no, real actually, because when I tried it for the first time, I said, wow, there ain't a coconut cream, but it's all right, and the piece is a bit different, but the color and the taste, I said, whoa, is this how we're going
I love
down
watching
today?
it, so I love rice and peas.
So it's like, it makes sense, it just makes sense, but I think it's true, like actually understanding that, you know, I'm not even going to take it back to my degree, because, you know, that's not today. We don't need the TED Talks in such a way that you tell them what they're saying, but don't allow them to have their individual agency of their culture and their nuances. It causes problems, because even in Nigeria, not everybody, just because everybody is Nigerian doesn't mean that everybody in Nigeria is even the same. Even my friend, she's Ghanaian. When I was in Ghana, I be seeing people be chatting different hair, this is different, and it's the same. Like my housemates, a lot of them are from Eastern Caribbean islands. I promise you, even though we have a lot of similarities, the things are different. And I think it's just like what you're saying. Like even with drill, I'm not gonna get too political on drill. Most of the drill lyrics are actually Papi Show, and we've been knowing this, and we know that. But there are some drill songs, if you actually listen with your ears and clean your ears out, even the drill song there is, I'm struggling to say it's a political statement. I'm struggling, right? Because I think more time it's a send that I'm coming for you and I'm coming on your end. But there is an ounce of politics there, because would they be needing to be making the music they're making and doing the things that they're doing if you guys actually fixed up yourself and had the correct political policy? But no, you go on to GMTV. It's not even called GMTV. What's it called? This Morning Britain, Good Morning Britain, whatever the heck it's called. You go on all of these shows. You have all of these debates about drill, but you don't think in your big fat head of yours, what is going on? Why are these young boys and girls moving mad on the ends? you've taken away their play center, you've taken away the studios, you've put their mums on 0 hours contract. So now they're making some tax-free money and spitting bars, and they don't even value their own life nor understand their own identity, let alone value a next man. So the only thing they can hold on to is these bars and this beef. And you on TV want to have major debates about whether the music is good, or not thinking about the political sphere that made this music apparent and necessary, and that made the things that they're spitting about on these tunes necessary. And personally speaking, when Drill Minister came out, and did the damn thing, I said, yes, babe, I love it. Because you're saying our music is violent, but you, up in Westminster, in the houses of what's it called? The Houses of Parliament?
House of Lords, whatever.
I'm moving mad. The Commons, the law. Let me not even, guys, let me be a bit professional, because I don't want to cuss no bad word. My mother might listen to this. But it's one of those things where, honestly speaking, it's like, I don't know, I think music has such a political history, and it's such a shame when they reduce it down to caricature like status, and they want to hold the musicians accountable and responsible for the stuff that they're talking about and the things that are negative, but don't ever look at how historically you have destroyed and stolen people's identity through and through, and never hold yourself accountable for the places you make that create and birth this type of music. You take away our identity, then you make these policies, and then you move mad. I want to debate it with me.